Hey, it's John Benson, and welcome back to day 26 now of Persuade and Profit Live here on Facebook. I'm John Benson, the billion-dollar copy coach, and today we are going to talk about an article lander and how powerful they are, especially when it comes down to getting traffic from paid sources like Google and Facebook, because they tend to be much more friendly to what we call a buffer. A buffer is simply something that exists between your customers, your prospect, and your VSL or your sales letter. And a lot of pros like me, a lot of other guys use article landers. So they look like articles. We're going back to what we did the last couple of days. We're looking at some of the techniques that we've done from an advertorial, which looks like an ad, but is really an ad. Well, this looks like an article, and it's really sort of an ad. It's an ad to lead someone into a sales letter. So before I get started and talk about the psychology behind this all, again, I am John Benson, the billion-dollar copy coach. If you don't know who I am, my copy has made over $1 billion for my customers and clients. That's why people call me that. And we're going to be talking a lot today about things that are inside the blueprint, inside my own sales letter, which I'm going to show you today. This sales letter this sales letter here alone is done well over about $10 million, I believe. So it's done fairly well. But this pattern I've used many other times and created that $50 million sales letter blueprint from this pattern. You'll recognize the pattern that's in here. We've covered it. If you missed those other Facebook Lives, you might want to go back and check those out, because those are really, really good. You do want to check those out. And if you do want to grab the $50 million blueprint, you can just type blueprint into the comments and we will send that to you. Cool. Awesome. So we are about to get started here. You get a slow start this morning. So one thing we do definitely want to cover real quick before we go into this training today is the mental capacity that you want your mind in, the mental position that you want your prospect's mind to be in when they're hitting a landing page, when they're hitting an article page. Obviously, you're wanting to give them content stuff. Obviously, you're wanting it to feel extremely value heavy. But there's a lot of stuff in here that deals with what's called micro commitments. So if you guys know what micro commitments are, let me know. And what's really weird is I'm showing 0 viewers, but I'm seeing people on here viewing. So I think there's something wrong with Be Live today. That's cool, because I can tell there's a lot of people in here. Awesome, great to have you guys. So you're going to have micro commitments. So if you haven't heard the term before, all that is getting someone to say yes to something, getting someone to click something that seems very, that anyone would want to click. Those are micro commitments that lead up to a macro commitment, which is to buy a product or opt into a page. Little steps, exactly, Terry. Little steps to help people feel comfortable with who you are. Know, like, and trust is really huge here. So that's another thing. And also, you want to come across with tons of value-added content with some cool psychological triggers in there, meaning that you're giving someone content, but it's content that, yes, they could apply. They could apply it all right here, but it's content that sounds a little difficult without some help, a little incomplete without some help. Now, in other words, you can give away 75% of your product. You really could. You could give away 75% of your product. I'm about to do something kind of crazy in December where I'm going to give away, it's not 75%, but it's a lot, to prove a point that you can actually give that away, and people will feel compelled to want to buy from you because you've given them so much value, and it's just great fun. It's great content. So with that said, let's dive into my own $50 million article lander, which is a $50 million sales page. So it's a $50 million article lander. Actually, it's not $50 million because this page didn't do 50 million, but 10 million, not bad. So this is great for traffic. Again, Facebook and Google and any traffic network loves to send their readers, their viewers, to something that is giving them lots of content. So if you dump them directly into a VSL, does that work? Yes, I still do that. Other people still do that. Dump them directly into a webinar? Yes. Does it get disapproved faster? Yes. Do most of the large offers online have article landers that are driving cold traffic? Absolutely, they do. So the vast majority of them do. So what is going on? I'm going to say hi to everybody. Hey, Billy. Hey, Emily, Terry, got Claudia, got Michael, got Terry, got Boban, got myself, and we got other people that I can't see because I'm showing 0 viewers, but I can see that there's much more than that because we've already got a lot of comments. Awesome. So I'm going to show my screen here, and let's get diving into this thing here today. Okay. So I'm going to hide this. Hide that. There you go. So this is the article lander to my sales letter, Old School New Body. You could go to oldschoolnewbody.com if you want to follow along, or you can just watch it right here on the screen. So This is starting off with the headline, 5 Steps to Looking 10 Years Younger. Now, but before, it actually starts off a little earlier than this. A cool little trick that we do up here. So 19,000 people have liked this, right? You can do what you want to do for your lives on your Facebook page is you basically want to have, it's a really good idea to have a free group and get tons and tons of likes to that free group. Because if you give away tons of content, then you can get up here, like 19,000 people like this. And just having it up here so subtly is very, very powerful. This looks like an article because there's nothing on this page. There's nothing on this page except right down here where you see the very first graphic and the next page. That's all. There's just nothing on the page. And that's kind of important for an article editor. You don't want a whole lot of fluff, a whole lot of pictures. I put a picture of the authors. I wrote this, but these are the authors of the actual product, Old School New Body. So I wrote this and ran it by them, made sure, because I know them so well, and then I knew what to say. But notice how we're starting off. 5 Steps to Looking 10 Years Younger. It's catchy, it's pithy. There's 2 things here. There's 2 numbers here. And it's looking 10 years younger is a great way of saying in one fell swoop, you're going to lose weight, you're going to feel better, and you're going to look better. So this is a diet book, right? But the real thing is a diet book for older people over the age of 40. When I say older people, I mean people my age, people over the age of 40. So naturally, they want to look 10 years younger. It's not just that they want to lose weight. They just want to look and feel younger, right? So 5 Steps to Looking. We tested, by the way, to feeling. It didn't test as well. So looking, still vain. We're all still vain to say. Now, notice how it starts off. Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Do you remember this from the $50 million Sales Letter Blueprint? You should, because that is the 3-question intro. You have it right inside of Email Copy Pro. In the blueprint, this is how this all got started. This is the very first time I'd ever written this. And as far as I know, the first time I've ever seen it done. So did you know X? Once your body hits the age of 40, whether you're a man or a woman, your body starts aging faster than normal. And then I back it up. Studies show that proper nutrients, your body will age about 6 months for every year that passes. So that's a pretty staggering thing. Just think about that. If you're over 40, that means by the time you're 44, you will look and feel 48. Now, notice that the claims are extremely believable. I'm not saying by the time you're 40, you're going to feel 80. But I am saying by the time you're 60, you will look and feel 70 years old. We see this every day. Just look around you. Now, what am I doing here? We see this every day. Just look around. Who's we? Is we him and his wife? Is we us? Is we all of us together? This is inclusion. We see this every day. Just look around. Use command. So just look around you. Again, we want people to be in a tactile position. Look around you. Common sense, right? Very few people will be able to look around them and go, nah, everybody's kind of looking great. Next, did you know? 90% of people over the age of 35 lose enough muscle to burn an additional 4 pounds of body fat. That means that you not only lose the only thing on your body that creates the shape and tone that you want, you also gain more fat even if your calories stay the same. So we're building a case. Notice none of this is pretty. Your body's aging faster. You're losing muscle mass. And what do we do here? Did you know all this is reversible? Everyone should just dive in and say, oh, okay, I know exactly what John's doing here. This is push, push, pull, right? This is exactly what's in the $50 million Sales Letter Blueprint, which, by the way, I'm going to put that on. And you can type blueprint to the chat, and you can get that. Just type that in anytime you want to go through this. We will send that to you, so you get the whole blueprint for this. Now, this is reversible. There are specific ways to eat, move, and think to tell your brain to stop this rapid aging process, even slow it down to the point where you're aging less than a year for every year. That means you can look, so again, it's just a subtle thing. That means you can look younger at 40 than you did at 35. Or like Becky and I did younger at 50 than we did at 40. And we got the proof up here. So, okay, this isn't, and so I at this point, I get really hard because I know Steve, and it's like, it's Old School New Body is the name of the product. So I can get a little more like just down to the point. Again, how many words? 5 words. I'm trying to use as few words as possible. I didn't do as good of a job of that as the guys we looked at yesterday, which makes me want to go rewrite this. But I wrote this 6 years ago, so give me a little bit of a break. It did work, though. This does not require a boatload of anti-aging drugs. I could put a period here. Supplements, period. Gimmicks, period. That's what I would do now that I know that tip. And this works for anyone. So I'm right here. What am I doing? It's not fantasy talk. I'm going through just very simple. I'm building a case, negative, negative, positive, push, push, pull. And I'm saying, look, this isn't fantasy talk. And I'm going through all the objections. And not all of them, but I'm going through the main objections. You don't need drugs. You don't need supplements. You don't need gimmicks. It works if you're male or female, 35, 55, 40. It doesn't mean the biology is exactly the same. Very short paragraph to just say, okay, this works for basically anyone. Now, I don't even do an official introduction here. I really don't. I just say my years as editor-in-chief of Iron Man magazine. I don't even say, hey, my name is Steve Holman. I didn't say that. So I just dive into it as if it was an article, as if it was something that you would read in a magazine. So again, you wouldn't read, hi, my name is Steve Holman in an article in a magazine necessarily because it's up here. You see? So I'm making this look and feel as much like a real article as possible. My years as editor-in-chief. So you might say my X as Y, whatever your background is, has allowed me to peer into the secret routines of anti-aging experts. By the way, we've tested different things on this. Secret routines of fitness experts, etc. We were running all sorts of different tests on this. I think fitness actually does better, but that's okay. This is still gets the point across. It allowed me to peer into the secret routines. Over the years, Becky and I picked up so many tips and strategies that allowed us to literally reverse the aging process from a cellular level. It means your body look, feel, and move younger than your chronological age. Okay. Now, this is pretty simple stuff. I mean, this is not that complicated to dissect. What I want to show you, though, is the subtle use of testimonial, of getting word of mouth, of getting social proof, because it isn't their genius. It's the fact that they've been able to peer into this because he's the editor-in-chief of a magazine, of a national magazine. So he's been able to look into the secrets and pick up all these tips. So he's got a source. He's a source that no one else can have. So I'm already just now what I'm doing, I'm putting him in an expert status. That is again, I keep saying this word. You want to build humble rapport. You want to build modest rapport. The modest rapport formula is so great. This is a modest way of saying this. Look, I'm editor-in-chief, but it allowed me to look at everyone who's really great and steal all their stuff. Okay, that's basically what we're saying. We've taught the system to countless men. Always begins with these 5 easy principles you must apply. So this isn't optional, okay, to stop the rapid aging onset that's going on right now and begin aging backwards in quotes. So I put that in quotes because that's a powerful statement, aging backwards. Could you get by with this today? Well, we have it live. So the answer is yes, because it's in quotes. So sometimes you can say aging backwards, in quotes. And if you say, you can obviously say later on, you're not literally aging backwards, right? You're storing your body's natural. So we just hint at what the primary solution is. We hint at the hook. It's something to do with your body's natural youth hormones. We just hint at it. Again, we don't want to go into that until the sales page, which we will go in tomorrow, by the way. We will look at the sales page tomorrow. We're not going to dissect every word of the sales page naturally because it's too long, but I'll give you the highlights of it. Now, look at this. This is always in my letters. We have to warn you about something. We have to warn you. What you're about to hear is going to go against all the conventional diet exercise you've been hearing. So now, what is this doing? This is contrarian. That's the technical name of what we're doing. We're contrarian. Everyone's saying this. We're saying why. But I'm going to give them a really good reason why we're contrarian. And I'm appealing to the baby boomers. That's because the world has, to be utterly frank, gone soft. Core training, hot yoga, spin classes, Tai Chi. Why did I pick all those? And I say they're okay, but they won't do this. They won't ever do it. They won't get the trick, because these are the things that would offend the sensibilities of most conservative older folks that I'm targeting. Core training, they don't know what that is. Hot yoga, no. A lot of people think yoga is the work of the devil. It's Tai Chi, spin classes. It's stuff for young people, right? It's stuff for younger people. Not saying I do tons of core training, but the point is most people don't. And they don't want to do that. So this is something that doesn't sound like all that stuff. But what else is here? Core training, hot yoga, spin classes. Those sound hard. Tai Chi sounds exotic. So this is automatically, by implication, not as hard or not as complicated as all that. This is going to go against everything you ever heard because everyone's gone soft. Okay. So you think, okay, it's like, well, what is this? Okay. So if I compare it against this, they don't know if it's complicated. They don't know if it's difficult. They just know it's not going to be soft. And again, this is priming. Okay. This is priming. I'm telling them that they've gone soft. The world's gone soft. Okay. We don't want to be soft. We want to be hard. Okay. In the fitness world, right? So these 5 steps for building things you absolutely must avoid if you want to slow the process. Now, I know, so what I just pulled this full quote out. That's all I did. Nothing too new fancy here. So I repeated what I've already said. Okay. So what you need is a splash of cold water, a touch of old school, and the honest truth. So again, look at my demographic, just really like hammering hard on the old school demographic. You need to get, just think about how your dad or your granddad might say things. You need to splash cold water on your face, boy. I heard that growing up from my dad in Texas, right? It's like you need to wake up. Come on, you need to get with it, right? That's the attitude that I'm running with. I'm in that mindset. And then I go into the steps. By the way, this is a very long lander. Most landers today are about this long. This one's actually 5 pages, and we make people go through micro commitments to get the pages. Step 1, forget about low-fat diets. Okay, this is common knowledge today, but 7, 8 years ago, this wasn't so common. Okay, so this is where I start building a case. Okay, low-fat sucks, right? And I'm not going to go through all the copy, but I'm just going to tell you what to do for your stuff, right? We're passing these habits to our kids. And it's really funny. If I would have known back then what I know now about commas, I take out almost every comma you see here. I didn't know that back then because I didn't study other copywriters. I was writing from the hip, So again, this still worked. So obviously I'm sharing it, right? Fats are to be feared. They're to be embraced because, again, we're back to this hormonal thing, right? Remember I talked about we're hinting at the gimmick. When I say gimmick, it's not a literal gimmick. We're hinting at the hook. We're hinting at the thing that's going to pull people in. We're hitting at powerful hormones. That's the key. Hormones are the key. Okay. People on low fights are like gaunt and they look weak, sick, breaking down. Now, am I appealing to the fears of someone who's over the age of 50 or 60 here? You're damn right. Yeah, I am. But I'm talking about people on a low-fat diet. But again, people are reading this in context. They're reading this in the context and they're applying it to themselves because I'm using tons of priming. I'm getting words that they already associate with, and I'm using those words over and over and over again in different contexts. It doesn't matter. They hear the word sick all the time. Okay, weak. They probably think they're weak all the time. When I say weak and sick, they don't think, oh, this guy is writing about people who are on low-fat diets being weak and sick. This triggers in their mind what it feels like to be sick for them, what it feels like to be weak for them. Does that make sense? That's what you're doing here. So you want to use the words that they are relating to. If I said people on low-fat diets look stringy, okay, that's a bodybuilding term. That's a term that we use in the gym. Anyone in here that's into bodybuilding will know the word stringy. Now, I know probably 1 out of 10,000 people will know what that is outside of fitness or bodybuilding. So I would never say stringy. I'm using the words that I know they think are bad. That is the real takeaway here, right? All right. So, and then I say, do you really think this will make you look good? Of course not. It will worry you to death if it doesn't kill you first. Notice what I'm doing here. It will worry you to death. Now, think about this. What is a concern of someone, again, over the age of, say, 60 or even 65? The average age of the buying public for this offer is 68 years old. Kind of blew me away. I thought it'd be like 45. It was 68. Worrying to death. How many times have you heard people that are in their 60s go, oh, this worries me to death? They use that phrase all the time. I had the benefit of having a father that I grew up, my dad was 51 when I was born, so I grew up with older parents. So I would hear these phrases when I was a kid, right? So we're just going to go through the next page and show you. Now, these get really short, just so you guys know. Step 2, you got to shorten these things up, obviously. Stop running in circles. Again, I'm using vernacular that someone over the age of 50 would use. Gym classes can be fun if you like sitting in one place and torturing yourself. So this is just so hard hitting, right? Have you noticed how little people change their bodies in these classes? That's true. It's like they all look the same, right? Especially running. There's very little of the help. There's a smart way to exercise. And look what I'm doing here. This is the very first open loop. We'll cover that in a minute. It's wonderful. It takes about a quarter time traditional workouts. We'll cover more details on the next page. Now, what am I doing? This is an open loop, and you don't know if it's on the next page or not. So you click next page because you almost have to. And we use these funny photos in here. Stop blaming everything on how old you are. The guys to the left are not fat because they're old. They're fat because they eat, think, and move like a fat, old, dying person. Okay. So this is politically incorrect to the hilt, right? And that's like, hey, we're both in our 50s and we don't look anything like this, right? Like, look, your body doesn't own a clock. That's a good line, right? Studies have shown that that women or 90s are able to gain muscle tone in just a matter of weeks. So I don't even have to cite the study. Now, I could say the study you see below, but that's a leak, and I don't want the leak. I could say a study done in metabolism shows that, et cetera, if I wanted to. But I wrote this literally in a day, guys. I was in a real big hurry. I wrote this whole thing in a day, and I was just writing top ahead, and we threw it up and it worked, and so we didn't change it. So no, I'm not saying I could do that all the time, just not try to brag, but that's how this happens. So if you're around those naysayers, constantly talking about how old their aches and pains and how life is going out, just leave. Now I'm talking to them, growing old, aches, pains. You can see this throughout this whole line of copy. I'm using all these words that they can really relate to. Okay. And then I'm using some words up here. For example, middle-aged mom. She went to a slim, toned, and super sexy woman who looks 10 years younger. Huh. Okay, slim and toned, super sexy. Awesome. That's something most anyone would want. The super sexy part I went back and forth on, but we kept it. I like it. Okay. A challenge is what keeps you young. And the best challenge there is happens to be taking control of your own health and body. So what am I doing here? Retirees, do you think they might be interested in this? A challenge keeps you young? Yeah, think about the demographic. Again, the demographic is mostly people that are like they think they're coming to the end of the line. They think they've lost control. Well, what you need is a challenge, brother. And this will keep you young. Now look what we did here. We'll show you how to do that on the next page. The reason why we wanted to test to see how many people couldn't figure out how to click next page. And believe it or not, about half the people click that big blue link. So it's good to know that. Step 4, hydration. It's just more tip stuff. All this is just straight content. You see, there's nothing in here that is difficult to grasp. But do you know how to do anything yet? Now, let's think about it. Avoid dehydration. Low-fat diets don't work. Okay, well, okay. How do I eat a high-fat diet? I didn't tell you. Avoid dehydration. I didn't tell you, except to this. Just drinking 12 ounces of pure water every day can take years off your face and months. That's the tip. This is the one time, the very first time I give you anything to do specifically. And it's just to drink water. Now, you know that drinking water isn't going to make you leaner and younger. Well, it's going to actually, that's not true. It will help. It will definitely help. But that's not going to be all. It's going to, right. Now get this. What is that? NLP command. Your liver is the #1 fat burning organ. Do you really want to go doing this rather than burning fat? No way. So this is just a straight tip. You almost have to go to the next page just to see if there's anything else. Now we get into the lead into the page. And this is our last page here. And this should jump out at you down here, right? Because it's so funny. I wrote this before I ever studied any copywriter ever. So I didn't see anyone else was doing with the things we were looking at the last couple of days. Just so happens to be that I guess common sense or decent minds think alike if you want. But step 5, work out less. Yes, less. Okay. The answer is old school resistance training. The secret is hardly anyone is doing it right. Now we pull in the hook. Over the past decade, I've developed a system that we call F4X training system. The F4X training system. Revolutionary way of combining 4 exercises. That's all. Done literally in a matter of minutes. That's all you need. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That sounds like something that your grandfather might say. Boy, you better put the money in the stock market. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I'm going to take a sip of water. We don't do this. We do this. Yeah, okay. We have a life. We have kids. And we both, I was wishing they had grandkids, but they don't. But if they had grandkids, it'd be better, And we both value being fit, real people at the same time. See how this is all kind of homey? Look, we're real people. We got something to do with our lives, right? And we're appealing to the psychology of what we think the user is. So now this isn't for everyone. Again, you want to kick in Accelerator, we call this the out of the club. You want to kick people out of the club at this point. Now look, this club is exclusive. Okay. It sounds really great. I'm sure you're really interested in joining and you may qualify. You may. It's just not for everyone. So you got to check these points. But notice how I do this here. It's not for everyone. And I pick 3. And I take 3 things that only 2 things, but that if anyone would want to do them, that they're insane. And 1 thing that actually is relevant to the program. So notice what I'm doing here. Do you see this again? If you enjoy spending an hour working out a day, this is not for you. And good luck with those free radicals. So we talked about free radicals earlier. So good luck with those age-making free radicals. I would write this a little differently today. So if you enjoy that, this isn't for you. If you think you can spin your way to younger, this is not for you. No one wants to do this. No one wants to work an hour a day. No one wants to spin or run their way to a younger you. And because again, my demographic, if you're not prepared to work very, very hard, for a very short period of time. This is not for you. Now, where did I get this idea? Around this time, P90X was taking off, and they were proving that they were saying, hey, this workout almost killed me, and it got results. So I'm tapping into a little bit of that society, but this is the greatest generation down kind of age, right? And they're not adverse to hard work, especially if it's a very short period of time. Okay, we're not going to lie. This is hard work. Can you see why we get traffic? I mean, to this, it's because we're just telling you, this is hard. This is hard. Anything that produces this kind of radical age-defying result, well, yeah, of course, we're going to turn back time. Would you expect it's going to be easy? But what do I do? Same thing we talk about in all my other courses. However, it's fast, it's efficient, it's safe. Fair enough. And if you're looking for an easy way out, Google pipe dream workout, and maybe you'll get lucky. I've just seen so many people rip that off, man. It's like they Google like Disneyland fantasy workout and stuff like that. But anyway, if you want results that have stood the test of decades, then read on. Okay, you must be okay with brief bouts of old school style hard work. So what do I do next? Next, it goes right to the sales page. Okay, on the very next page, we'll let you on the specifics of the system. It's very important how we do it. Okay, if you're ready to get started on our exact old school new body system that features the Forex training, old school new body ageless nutrition plan, and all of the other secrets, on the very next page, we'll let you in on the specifics of the system and how you can get started within 30 minutes from now. This one probably is one of the best lines in the whole piece. We're going to let you in on the specifics on the system on the next page. Well, yeah, the specifics of the system. We say, well, here's what the F4X thing is all about. You do this, then you do this. We don't go beyond that much specific. Okay, we tell them if you want to get the actual specifics of the program, meaning the nuances of the program, you got to buy the system. You got to buy it, right? And how you can get started within less than 30 minutes from now. Yeah, because that's how long it's going to take them to read the page. Make sense? So I literally pre-frame this right to a buy. This is pre-framed right to a buy and on the next page. And tomorrow we will go over how that works on the next call tomorrow. Now we're gonna take some questions here with us today. It's so funny. I'm seeing everyone in here and like no viewers. It's like I feel lonely. I can't look at that viewer count. It's making me feel lonely, man. So Alexandra, John Vincent University. Thank you. Yeah, hopefully this was really helpful for you guys. So Terry said, is that sales letter still working for you today, or would you normally, you know what, I'll be honest with you, is it still working? Yeah. Could it work better? Absolutely. Are the owners asking me, hey, could you like, because considering I own a part of it, could you like maybe rewrite this? I'm like, yeah, one of these days I'll get around to it. I do need to probably touch that up, and knowing what I know now, I know I can make it even better. What you learned over the last 2 days, if you guys haven't watched it, please go back to the last 2 days of Persuade and Profit Live, where I dissect the advertorials. I would apply a lot of what we talked about in those copy tips to this. But if we can't look back at ourselves and go, hey, you know, I mean, no one can deny it's a good letter. No one can deny it's obviously working. But if we can't look back and go, what made that good and how could I make it better, then we're not ever going to grow. I don't look at my stuff and go, there's very few things I read that I've written that I look at a year from now and go, oh my gosh, that was good. A couple of things I have like the letter yesterday that I can't say what it's about, but I typed in the chat like I promised to, has to do with certain body part working better for guys. That letter, when I read that letter, I go, yeah, that's one of the best things I've ever written. That's really good. I wouldn't change a thing. But here I'm thinking 20 things I would change based on what I know now, based on who I was 6 years ago, or 7 almost. Compared to who I am now is a lot different. But I wouldn't change. You know what? Today I wouldn't have written as effortlessly as that came across with the whole vernacular. It might have been too forced, you know. So I think there are ways you were better, and there are ways that you're better now. So you just everybody's gotta get better in life, right? And look at, you know, the ways that maybe they're falling a little weaker and brush up on those too. So that's the honest answer to that question. Bogan asked, would something like this work hard, and if it's still work hard now? Yeah, because this is yeah, absolutely. This still makes sales. So yeah, in fact, we go back and forth between running traffic for it. It'll burn out for a while because it's been on. You know, like this letter hasn't changed in 7 years. I mean, that's like ridiculous. Okay, the only thing in the fitness world that rivals this, and I don't know how much traffic Mike is now running to The second VSL that was ever written, because I wrote the first one for myself, and I wrote the second one, Truth About Abs. And that was for Mike Geary. Mike Geary's a good guy, good friend. And Truth About Abs, that VSL that he has tried to, now he's not like me, he's not lazy. He tried to beat that copy and that was like I wrote that in 2007. So yeah, that is 11 years old now. I mean, it's crazy. Or 2009, but it was right around there. It's 9 to 11 years old. And he's tried to beat that. And when Doodle videos came out, he put Doodle on top of it. And then when certain other things came out, he put that, but nothing's ever beaten the script. So who knows, man? I mean, does it still work? Yeah, this still works. We still run traffic to it. Mike is actually running some traffic to it. So yeah, could it work better? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'll never look at something that I've written and tell you, oh God, this is great because I wrote it. I've written things that just blatantly sucked, man. And I thought they were good and then it didn't work at all. If you're not writing a lot, then if you're going to write stuff that sucks. I mean, you're going to try sales letters, email campaigns. Some stuff in Email Copy Pro may not work for you because it doesn't work for every single person on the planet. It's just not possible. But it's most of it will, and most of it has. So, but still, some of it will work for other people. It won't work for others. But yeah, you can always get better. You can always get better. So yes, cool. Billy says, hey Billy, this is awesome. I was actually going to send traffic to this page. Wasn't sure now. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, it still works, man. It still works. And actually, the sales page, the article. I actually, going back through this, I hope you guys don't mind me getting a little nostalgic. It takes me back to where I was. I was in my Malibu home, the one that if you follow me on Facebook on my personal page, my Malibu home burnt to the ground during the Malibu fires. I don't own it anymore. I never owned it, in fact, but the owner was a good friend of mine, and no one was hurt, but it was the place where all of what I do was birthed. The place I met my ex-wife, the place I met my ex-girl. I mean, so many people in my life I've met out there. We had the greatest copywriters in the world come out there: John Carlton, Jay Abraham, Todd Brown. I've gotten a list of people that have been Sean Stevenson, the marketers, Joe Polish. Too many to list, too many to think of. Kevin Rogers was there in this circle of this really beautiful on the coast kind of scenic house that I got lucky to get. So yeah, that kind of, but so this takes me back to that era of because I remember sitting on I was sitting listening to the waves crash in the ocean, typing this on my laptop, thinking, this is a pretty good life, right? And so it's kind of crazy, but that was written back then. So how I would write it to get today is a little different. You're a little harder in ways, you're a little softer in other ways. And yeah, there's some things I would definitely tweak. So, but yes, it still works. That's a long-winded way of saying that. Hey, Nikki. Hey, how are you doing, brother? Nikki. All right. I'm going to love you forever, bro. Gold. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that, man. So I'm just going down here to, okay. So if people are getting push, pull now, they're getting that a lot, right? They're getting that a lot. Hey, Ted, what's going on? Ted's on here. Ted's one of the best LinkedIn marketers on the planet. Oh, by the way, Ted, my apologies. I completely forgot to reach out to you. It's my fault. It's on my thing to do, but I am reaching out today. So Wade's here. Wade's in the house. So yeah, I think I've answered all the questions. So yeah, I got to show this because it's just funny. Yeah. I mean, I've written some stinkers. I mean, I've probably got maybe a 75% success rate, 70 maybe. I'd have to. I've never, to be honest with you, I don't measure. So I don't know. If I had to guess, it'd be around then. And different levels of success too. There's only been a few letters that were like complete freaking home runs. This is one of them. I mean, off the tables kind of stuff. The letter we talked about yesterday, every other day diet, the first VSL. Probably like 20 letters I can think of that were really home runs that were really off the charts. But yeah, you can definitely get better, and you can definitely do something where you're not in flow. We're going to talk a little bit about flow this week, by the way, getting you guys into a flow state, how I do it. And I'm going to leave you with this tip because I don't want it to take too much time today, but I do want to leave you with this. In this, I was in a flow state and I was able to write don't freak out when I say this. Don't think that this is standard, or don't think that this is normal. I was able to write this entire thing in about 4 hours. And then I wrote the entire sales letter later that day and finished it, except for the pitch, and did the pitch the next day. So all of Old School New Body was written without edits in 2 days. And that's not necessarily good, because looking back through here, it needs to be edited. It does. It still works. So I mean, at some point, like copywriters I wish Kevin was here, Kevin Rogers, or any of the guys from any of the copy posse guys. Copywriters will look at good copy, and Harlan Kilstein has done this. He's purposely posted copy that he knew made like $20 million, and had all these copywriters go, "Oh, it's terrible, man. That sucks. The copy's terrible." So yeah, well, this made $20 million, written by Gary Halbert. So completely wrong. Okay. Copywriters can look at copy and they just naturally want to pick it apart, right? They naturally want to say something sucks. Whatever. I try not to do that. That being said, I can look back at some things I wrote and go, what was I thinking? You've got to be in a flow to write something that's truly good. Truly good. I'm going to, in case you don't have Email Copy Pro, tell us in the comments if you want it. I'll let you know how to get it. But the thing about that makes that such a valuable product, in my opinion, is the fact that all of those emails, virtually all of them, emails were coming from campaigns and stuff that we knew worked. So whoever wrote that, whether it would be me or John or Todd Brown or Ryan Dice or whomever, we knew we were in a flow state, or we just got lucky. So that really negates you having to be in a flow state. You just have to fill in some key blanks and to tell the system how you think per se. But that's why I think that really helps. But if you're writing something from scratch, like a sales letter or an email campaign, put yourself in a flow state there's a trick that I do. I don't write with my own voice. What I do is I take some deep breaths, and then I put a picture of the avatar on my monitor. Who am I writing to? Unless I know the avatar like I know super well, right? I'll put a picture of the avatar. I'll make sure that every word sounds like it's written to that one person. And here's the real trick. I will write as if I am the person I'm writing for. So if I'm writing for myself, obviously I'm writing in my own voice. Here I was writing for Steve and Becky. And I'm writing as if I'm somebody else. What would they say? And I flow through that state. When you're acting and when you're in that state of flow, it's sometimes you will say things that you will normally not say. I don't speak this way. So I was saying things that were like, where did that come from? And I didn't know Steve and Becky super well at the time. So I put my dad in my head. Now, so that was easy. I put my dad in my head. So find someone that you can put in your head and say, I'm going to write from this perspective. Don't try to force it. Like, just breathe through it and just kind of, so you'll get a combination of you and whomever you're putting in your head. You know who I put in my head a whole lot when I write is Tony Robbins. I mean, I actually started sounding like Tony Robbins and using a lot of his own mannerisms because I'm such a huge fan of Tony's stuff. And now Tony doesn't write; he's not a copywriter, but Tony's one of the most high-level persuaders on the planet. And a super nice guy, by the way. But the dude's got a success, off the chart success, right? So when I'm trying to motivate somebody, I'll put my Tony Robbins cap on, and I will start channeling Tony Robbins, not literally channeling, but so who could you channel? I'll put that in big Austin Powers air quotes here, and then that will help you get into a flow state. So yeah, that's my flow state tip. So great. So people say, great ideas delivered, John. I will make my bridge pages based on your suggestions. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And Tom says, thank you for this. And yes, John's flow state. Looking forward to that. You just got pretty much the whole thing, but I can do a little bit more of it tomorrow. Don't forget to type blueprint into the chat if you want the $50 million sales letter blueprint that this is based off of. And that is also inside Email Copy Pro, by the way. But if you have Email Copy Pro or can't get it right now, at least let me give you the blueprint. It's free. Love to help you out there so that you can get some tips on writing your next sales letter. I promise you, if you look at that blueprint, it's about 4 pages long. It's literally step by step. Here's what I do, line by line. And I broke it here, by the way, because I modeled the blueprint over the last 8 years. So grab that if you don't have it. I catch myself all the time. I hear myself wondering if a family member. Yeah, exactly. So I want to put this in here. So I want to give a couple things. Mark, great question. Do you have a pre-writing session routine that you put right in state? Thanks for that question. The routine I go through is similar to what I just said, where I just kind of breathe through and I get my mind into the mind of somebody else. So I'm almost coming into it from an acting position. So I did some acting in high school and college, and that's, so I have a little bit of, not a lot of skills there, but I still practice today. So I kind of do it as an actor, and I do it as a character in my head. The most important thing is not trying to act it out like you're, character acting. It's to hear the voice in your head. So you're hearing your voice, but you're hearing the voice of something else. You're hearing your voice of your avatar. And I like to write from the ideal avatar coach. Like, who is the ideal person this person would be listening to, and try to mimic that kind of voiceover. The other things I do that I've done in the past, I don't do this religiously, is I'll take my iPhone and I will set a timer for 50 minutes and I will stop. At 50 minutes, I will stop. I'll set another timer for 10 minutes. I'll continue at 10 minutes. So I'll go 50 on, 10 off, 50 on, 10 off, 50 on, 10 off. And then best tip of all, I think, honestly, is whatever you write, put it aside and look at it in 2 days. Okay. John Carlton's famous for saying writing is rewriting. And I hate rewriting. I just really don't like it. But it is true. You will be much better if you rewrite. If you look at this and go, change this. Assuming you're still in that voice. So that's the routine that I kind of go through. Also, just FYI, last thing I will say, I'm a big believer. I come from the nutrition, fitness world and still do it. So if your body isn't right, your food isn't right, your water or whatever you're drinking isn't right, then you're screwed. Then you're riding on an empty gas tank. So make sure your body's fueled. Some people say, "Oh, I always work out before I write, so I get it out of my energy." I never do, because after I work out, I'm shattered, dude. I'm wrecked. I train super hard, so no, I never want to write after I'm worked out. I'm shattered. So I write on days I know I'm not training, and I will usually write in the morning when there's no one like bothering me. So I'll set my alarm early. I'll get up at 5 and get some coffee. I'll do my stretches and stuff, and then boom, I'm off to the races. I can write from like 6 to 8 more than I could write in those 2 hours. I could write twice as much as I could write like 11 to 4. So find the days that it works for you, man. All right, cool. So thank you guys again. It's a longer session today. I'm trying to keep them to 30 minutes. I am going to be coming out with a 7-minute copy. So I'm going to talk to you guys more about that toward the end of the Persuade in Private Life, which is going to limit me to 7 minutes. It's going to be much more formatted. I want to give you guys a lot of value, and that's all going to be awesome free stuff that you guys can all digest and take it to the next level. Share this with a friend if you don't mind, if you find it valuable. And I will see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, when we're going to go over the $50 million, the $10 million version of this letter, and maybe more than that. I have to check now. And that's the sales letter. Now, we're not going to go through the whole sales letter, but we're going to go through the big principles, the big things that made it such a hit. Cool. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay. Okay, we got to go. Sorry. Before. Okay. All right. So I have to answer this. So I'm glad I looked. Hey, Wade, what's going on? Is that Lander in Email Copy Pro? Okay. This is part of the $50 million sales letter blueprint. So I took this in 5 of the letters that I wrote and created inside Email Copy Pro, what I call the $50 million sales letter blueprint. So if you type blueprint, you can get the actual blueprint. If you have Email Copy Pro, the entire letter is in there. Now, if you go back over several days, I think it's 4 or 5 days ago, you can see me go through the $50 million sales letter blueprint inside Email Copy Pro day by day. I took 5 days and went through the whole thing. If you have Email Copy Pro, just go to Mission Control, click View All Emails, and you can search for sales letter, and up it comes. And it just makes you fill in your entire niche. You got to complete your entire niche. It might take you a day, but in a day, think about this. Now, I can write a sales letter in a day because I'm a pro. Most people aren't pros. This will let you literally get a sales letter blueprint that you can change and modify. It's a blueprint. So it's not, we don't have like multiple generation versions of this. It's just one generation, but it's a blueprint that's worked for lots of people, have taken that as is. And I suggest that you take the ideas and write around it. But man, imagine having 80% of a sales letter done. That's what we wanted to give you. So just as a special bonus, it's not part of Email Copy Pro, but we wanted to brag a little bit. We wanted to brag. So yeah, Emily, Emily, if Leanne is on the call, I think she is. Leanne has texted me saying she's live. Hey, Leanne, could you look up the Facebook Lives that have the start of the $50 million sales letter blueprint, where we can send it to Emily and to Wade, just make sure they have that training, and you guys will like that. So she'll ping you later on Facebook. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Thanks, guys.